YouTube! YouTube, how's it going? It's Multiplier here. Now, this sort of vlog style video is basically for me to provide a 6-month sort of update for my new studio, because the chair in the way there a bit, light in the way as well. So basically, I've had this place for about, I'll continue spinning, that's okay. I've had this place for about 6 months now, and I'm absolutely loving it. And you may have noticed, in fact, if you started to follow the progression of the new studio from about, I don't know, the beginning maybe, you may have seen that most of it happened quite quickly. It was after about a month or so that it pretty much stabilized, in the sense it is like this, sort of shut the door. Sort of this vibe. You can kind of see me in it. I mean, ignore me. I mean, I'm normally in here, but look around me. This is basically what it's been like for... It's been like this for, yeah, pretty much... I suppose it took me about a month to get everything fully set up. About a month or so to get everything dialed in, from the storage solution at the back, looking clean, nice sort of a freeform fun zone at the back, all the sort of these guys for cables, getting all that installed. I say installed, you just stick them down. And then also my Ableton Push 2, I suppose that maybe came in a month and a half after I first came here. But then literally it's all been stable, smooth sailing ever since. There's a reason for that, and that is because I think I nailed it. I really think I nailed this setup. Given my current gear selection and the size of the room and everything, it's all just worked brilliantly. And that's got me thinking about what to do next, because I'm all about trying to improve, trying to always do the best you can, and trying to keep moving forward. If you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards or sideways like a crab. But as much as it's fun to walk sideways like a crab, ideally you want to move forward like a gazelle. So, in the spirit of moving like a gazelle, maybe not like a gazelle, that's a bit too fast, like a wildebeest. In the spirit of moving like a wildebeest, I'm thinking about, right, what am I going to do next to this studio? So what I thought I'd do in this video is just kind of run you through my thoughts, what I'm thinking about, what's working, what's not working, and what I'm thinking about for the future. First of all, what do I even use this space for? Because you see me walking around it now, but you might not know what I actually do here. Basically, I am a content creator. I suppose that's the broadest definition of what I do. I make sample packs, I make tutorials, I make product walkthrough videos, I make YouTube videos like this. I do Skype sessions, all sorts of bits and bobs, but basically everything happens here. So this is my entire workspace that I do all the work in. Literally for my job. So it has to be right, it has to be perfect, it has to be interesting, but it also has to be functional. It's no good me having a pool table in the back, a dartboard, like a rope swing, a ball pit, because while yes, that would be fun for a studio, and if it was just a music studio as an interest, as a pastime, as a hobby, then that'd be great. I'd absolutely have a ball pit in the studio, maybe sand everywhere. Maybe if this was just a fun studio, then I'd have sand as the floor. It'd be a sand floor studio, and that'd be cool. But it has to be more functional than that for what I do. Therefore, it has to be clean, it has to be functional and efficient. It's got to be very efficient. I can't be spending 10-15 minutes plugging something in every time I want to do some work, whether it's a Skype session or a tutorial video or even just editing. I can't be spending 10 minutes or even 3 or 4 minutes plugging something in or moving something out of the way anytime I want to do something, because that really slows me down. So I've got to make sure the place is functional, clean looking, efficient, and also hopefully inspiring and sort of a nice place to be, which it currently is. Like these beanbag chair things are working extremely well. I wasn't keen on them initially. I was a bit undecided, actually, might be the better word for it. But no, they're absolutely amazing. They sort of give the room a bit of soft vibe. Also, the colours are nice. And I genuinely just sit there kind of playing on my iPad sometimes instead of going downstairs, which is ludicrous, but I do. I sometimes stick a surfing movie on the screen bit, and then I can sit down there with the cool light up Hugo lights, sort of playing on my iPad. And that's vibing, and I like it. So I'm really enjoying this. Freeform fun zone as well. I should probably provide an update on that. Freeform Fun Zone, I initially conceived of it to play with my DJ gear and to play with kind of one-off bits of musical toys and stuff and such, all the sort of stuff you see down there. However, it doesn't really almost ever get used for that. What it does get used for is doing product videos. So whenever I want to do a sort of me playing on a like the Ableton Push or the Control S25 keyboard, and I want to have it looking clean and professional for like my plugin boutique Loopmasters videos, for example, I do it there. And in fact, let me include a bit of a picture. Oh, look at that picture of me using it for that exact use. So it's great for that because I can just use it functionally. I can get stuff out. I've got all the cable bits at the ready, so I can plug in my additional monitor. I can stick my laptop there. I can plug in my Control S25 willy-nilly, not willy-nilly, easy peasy. Got my words muddled up. So I can plug it in easy peasy, lemon squeezy, and power cable. It's all just ready, so I can get set up to do a product video like that using the Control keyboard or even the Ableton Push in about 5 minutes or 10 minutes if you include the actual camera side of things, which is great. So yeah, it's not really nearly dropped the camera there. So yes, it hasn't really been used for much freeform fun, but yes, it's still doing the job very well for what I want it to use it for. And before I get onto ideas, what else should I update you on? Microphone working very well. The stand with the boom arm for the microphone, very good. I mean, that didn't really make it look very good there, but I mean, it's a bit squeaky and a little bit needs tightening up every now and then, but that's okay. It wasn't super expensive. The ones that work amazingly are just silly money, and it does the job. So yeah, that's good. Also, acoustic treatment working well. Remember, for me personally, what I'm using it for is not to deaden first order reflections and such, or to trap the bass for producing and mixing, but instead it's just to deaden the room a bit for a bit, not completely, to deaden the room a bit for my microphone recordings. I actually do all my mixing and sound design on headphones. I mean, I may do some songwriting on monitors, but I actually do it all on headphones for reasons that I've explained in previous videos, mostly headphones versus monitors. Check out that video if you're wondering why I do all my sound design and mixing and mastering on headphones. But yes, so get there with the words. So yes, the acoustic treatment is working well for that. Now, this leads me on to future plans. One of the things I was thinking about for the next stages of the studio is should I deaden the room more in terms of reflections to deaden it a bit from that reverb you hear? It's not very much, it's just a arms are tired as well. Focus multiplier. I'm gonna hold it. So yes, I was thinking about getting some more sound deadening acoustic treatment, potentially just to deaden the room that final tiny amount. It's I don't really need to, but you know, I could take that final few percent of the room reflections down a bit. But my dilemma is I quite like how airy and bright it is in here. What I don't want is the studio to feel dark and it to look like some sort of mental asylum for crazy people, just foam on the walls and just sort of chaos like that. I quite like how it's got a bit of the acoustic foam vibe, even if it's just lent up against the wall. But it's really bright and airy. Personally, I like bright studios. I'm not a fan of dark spaces, even if it may be sonically fractionally better. I like the bright, airy vibe, and not to mention it also, in my opinion at least, makes the place look nicer in videos when it's bright and airy. Also easier to light as well because the walls and stuff bounce all the light around, and that's good, bouncing the light off that. So my initial thoughts on acoustic treatment. Screensaver. Yes, my initial thought on acoustic treatment is ideally, yes, I'll get some more, but only if I can keep the place feeling as fresh and bright as it currently is. So maybe that means wrapping some of these panels white, but would involve me doing a good job of that, which might be quite difficult. But it's a possibility. I might start looking into it, because if I could wrap these a bright colour and then maybe find a good position for them, maybe I could keep bumped into the chair a bit. maybe that would do it, but my instinct is probably not. As I say, the reverb in here isn't problematic at all. It's only the last few percent that I'll be gaining. So upside, downside, I think I'm more likely to ruin the place than I am to make it better. So maybe not there. Let's go on to next ideas. Next idea is more toys, more musical things that make musical noises, whether that's a set of analog bits and bobs, modular, or some real life things that make noises. Not entirely sure what that would be. At the moment, I just have Mr. Giraffe and a little tin flute, or this guy. Dubstep, Irish whistle. So I could get bits and bobs like this that were fun and I liked. I could do that, or modular. Put that there, fine. Down. There you go, Mr. Giraffe. Mr. Giraffe there, just hanging out. Casual. I suppose I could also fix the creaky floor. Or, as I say, I could go down the modular route. Now, ideally, I could see myself going down the modular route. Now, let me explain. First of all, the reasons why I'd be going modular is not because I think analog is better, or that I think I would make more nuanced and interesting sounds using analog specifically, but instead, I think it'd be a lot of fun. I think I could get some really weird and quirky modules that were just fun to play around with, and I think it'd be quite nice to get hands-on with the music. If I did go down that route, it wouldn't just be normal subtractive synthesis generating a standard bleepy bloopy sound. It would definitely be weird and quirky, because that would be interesting, I reckon. Well, at least it would to me, making just weird sounds that you couldn't easily or typically make in the computer. But the reason why I'm reluctant to get into the world of modular, and I'm being very, very careful about it, is they've carefully designed the entire industry to take precisely all your money, whether that's $200 or $2,000 or $20,000 or $200,000 or $2 million, however much money you have, there's precisely the right modules available for you to spend all your money. So I'm quite careful not to dive into that without thinking about it. But I probably will at some stage. Not right now, don't get too excited, but maybe 6 months away or a year. Who knows how long, but probably at some stage. You can just see all my money disappearing. I have to plug this in, running low on power. I'll plug you in for a sec, that's okay. The cable, right? You're a bit. Oh, you're flat. It's all right. I thought you were like that, but you weren't. So, plug, get in the hole, right, and then I can plug you in. Sort of. Cable's not long enough. That's not working at all. I'm going to move the push. Oh, it's got grippage. Probably by design, isn't it? That's really heavy. Wowzers, trousers. That is heavy. Yeah, that's gonna maybe work. I'll give you some juice. There you go. Right now you have juice. Are you still recording? I've no idea if I'm the right distance away. I'm getting blinded by the light here. Yeah, no idea. Check this out. Check this out, everybody. I want to put you down there, looking at me in the... Look at this. You've got power. Just hanging out now. We're just hanging out, people. Hanging out. Maybe do a bit of tilt vibe. And then I could even... Oh, cable. Look at that. We are now sitting down or casual like. I can even move just to say there. Welcome to the beanbag in the this. Welcome to the Multiplier Studio. Here's where I tell you more things about ideas for the studio. This is part of the problem. I don't really know what I want to do next. And that's part of this thought experiment. If you have any ideas, comment below and or email me, because I want to keep moving forward, and I'm 6 months into this studio. So I figure, let's say I want to upgrade the studio significantly in 6 months. I have to start thinking now, because I mean, you never know. If I end up getting a massive modular setup, or even just a small one, then I need to budget accordingly, because it costs many thousands of pounds for lots of analog gear. So if I do want to do that in 6 months, I have to kind of decide now so that I don't run out of money and become homeless. Yes, what could I do with this studio? I suppose it comes down to, what do I need / want, interested. To be completely honest, part of the reason why I haven't just bought, say, a bunch of stuff for the sake of it, like I could have replaced this with the full-size Control keyboard, S-Series keyboard, if I wanted to. Part of the reason is the Ableton Push 2 just works so well. That's the Ableton Push 1, so not that one. I've got the Ableton Push up there. You've seen that. So that just works so incredibly perfectly as your main. That's the sort of main MIDI controller, and it feels like home to me, in the sense I don't have to think about setting scales or kind of where my fingers land. I just, and it works because I know it. Anything else I buy just wouldn't really have the same impact. I mean, I have loads of stuff down here, like DJ stuff. I have this MIDI Fighter DJ gear, which is very dusty. Not anymore. This is very cool. I should probably use stuff like this in the actual studio a bit more. Shall I tell you why? Not only are the buttons much more playable than keyboard, even more than keyboard. I mean, I'd argue the keyboard's more playable than the push, even though the shape of the push makes more sense for me. These are just the most playable things ever, because they're basically arcade buttons. In fact, they literally are arcade buttons from the same manufacturer. So the same people that designed arcade buttons, can't remember the company, years and years and years ago, to be as playable as possible, literally just designing buttons to be bashed and played as hard as possible, and to be reliable and just fun to press. These are in a controller, so if I wanted to do button stuff, this would make more sense. The reason why I don't know is, let's say I want to trigger some drums or some samples or anything, or probably drums or samples, and then let's say I want to go meow, moo, 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 meow, or something, anything at all. What I'd have to do is configure a drum rack and then assign the MIDI buttons here to the slots. And it's just more button presses on the computer than I can be bothered with. As mad as that sounds. Maybe if I set up some templates, but even that's just work that's getting in the way of being creative. But maybe it would make me more creative. I should probably do that. Maybe I'll do that in a video. Also, though, the exciting about this is it's got 3D sensors in, so you can go, or however you assign it. So it's got 3D sensors. So as you move it, sends MIDI information through here to the computer. So if I wanted to, I could set up a bass preset and then assign the MIDI from the 3D sensors to modulate anything at all, wavetable position, filter cutoff, resonance. So I could be like, wah, 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 and use this for that. But I just haven't really got around to it. That's a good idea for a video, though. I should do that, I reckon. Very dusty. But yes, the reason why I was showing you this is it's symbolic of what happens when I have something cool that's not readily available. It's a big problem in many studios. The problem that I'm sure many of you have encountered yourself. You've bought some gear. It could be one of these. In fact, some of you probably have one of these. It could be an Ableton Push, or it could be a fancy keyboard, a bit of analog gear, anything at all. A sort of thing with buttons and lights on it. But because it's not easily available, maybe you have to get it out and plug it in and find the power cable, or maybe you even just have to do a few button clicks on your computer to get it initialized and ready to go. You just don't really end up using it, and it just sits in your corner of the studio and doesn't really do much. And that's bad, because then you're not really taking advantage of it. So workflow, where you place stuff in the studio, how it all pieces together in the real workflow of studio, is important. I'll say that sentence again. How your studio is organized in terms of workflow is arguably more important than the gear you have. So in the case of the Ableton Push, for example, I don't have to plug in the USB cable, plug in the power cable. I don't have to move something out of the way. It just sits there perfectly. I take the cover off, turn it on, boom, and it's ready to go, as simply as that. And there's no special bits of software thing I need to do either, because it just talks to Ableton by default, whereas say the Control S Series keyboard has some great Smart Play functionality with the, I think it's called Smart Play, with the section up here to do arpeggiating stuff and chord stuff. Genuinely, really good feature functionality. Really good, but even if this was already plugged in, like my Ableton Push, I would have to load up a special instrument rack in Ableton to access the features, and so I just don't. I mean, it's not even plugged in right now, so I definitely don't. But if it was, I'd still have to do button clicks, and that'd be getting in the way of workflow a bit. Not a lot, but a bit. So yes, must make sure anything I buy actually fits in to what I do. Otherwise, I'd really hate spending, like, I don't even know how much. I suppose you can spend as much as you want on a modular setup. But let's say I spent £3,000 on a small to medium, probably only a small, to be honest, for that money. Let's say I spent £2,000 to £3,000 on a small modular setup. I mean, yes, I could get a few cool YouTube videos out of it, but it's got to actually be used more than a few times for me to really justify that. Well, that's not really lined up. So yes, I'm thinking really hard about making sure anything I buy fits into what I do. I feel like there's more sort of zonage on that corner that could be optimized. Could maybe, I don't know. Also, I was looking at analog. I think that's lined up. I'll check that in a sec. I was looking at analog gear on a website, thinking, I could just pick up a few little one-off little bits. It wouldn't have to be a big modular system or anything too big and fancy. It's all really expensive. I was like, what's going on here? It's like watches. You could buy a really nice watch for the same price as some of these analog gears. I mean, yes, a fancy watch doesn't make noise, but I don't know. It just seems really expensive for a bit of stuff that doesn't really make as big of a deal as they might think you want it to do. As you can probably tell, I don't really know what I want next for the studio, and that's part of the problem. I need inspiring. I mean, yes, I'm inspired by modular, but I'm frightened about how much it will then deplete my monies. Because even if I say to myself, so only spend £2,000 on a simple setup, and then that'll be it. You're done. You're complete multiplier. Don't buy any more modular gear. Because it's modular and you can buy a little bit at a time, any spare money you have, you could just buy something with, whether that's a £100 little thingy-majigger or a £2,000 more expensive thingy-majigger. No matter how much spare money you have, there's exactly a module priced at that amount that looks exciting and looks like it will fill the void in your life. So you buy it. And that's what will happen if I went modular, and then that would be bad. I need inspiring. I need a bit of something that's not too expensive, because just better if it's not. I need a bit of something that goes, yeah, cool. I need something exciting, something different and exciting that gets me interested in using it. Like this, like the 3D, hold it this way, like the 3D sensors in this are good and they're different, and I like that. And it's not even too expensive. I think it was, I don't know, $150 or something. I suppose what I really should be doing is making the most of this first before I get anything new. Maybe I'll do that. Look forward to that video. I'll get creative. I'll find something creative to do with this. I suppose that's what it's all about. It's all about creativity, about being creative, more so than having fancy gear, because you don't need any fancy studio toys to make the best tracks in the world. In fact, most of the best tracks in the world, most of what makes them amazing comes from stuff that you already have, at least if you have good plugins already. Serum and Ozone and so on. And so any fancy bits of gear you have is really just for fun, really, when you think about it. Fun, and I suppose if you have a bunch of fancy outboard gear, you can charge loads to master people's tracks because you can be like, run it through an SSL or something, and then that supposedly makes it sound better. Doesn't. So, yes, in fact, Epiphany, right. Words with multiplier. I've had an epiphany. That's part of the point of this video, me thinking out loud and hopefully allowing me to make a decision in terms of what I want to think about and progress with the studio. Let me tell you the epiphany. Any additional studio gear I get needs to be in the spirit of being creative or interesting or creative. So I don't really know what's available yet. So I'll start looking into it. But as I say, in the spirit of being novel, creative, or just all round interesting. That's going to be the key here. I've got Diva. I've got the plugin Diva if I just want a simple subtractive analog sound. As I say, UE Diva, screenshot on screen. In my opinion, by far the best way to get that classic subtractive synthesis analog sound without having to spend a ton of money on analog gear. And to be honest, barely anyone can tell the difference between a good use of Diva and a bit of analog gear anyway. So just get Diva if you want to do that, and I already have it. So winner, chicken dinner on that front. And oh yeah, for those maybe not aware of what I mean by subtractive synthesis, that's a basic form of synthesis where you take something like a square wave and a saw wave, maybe detune a square wave and a saw wave, and then run it through normally a low-pass filter, and then run an envelope through that filter. So you start off with something harmonically rich, a sawtooth or a square wave, and then you subtract bits out using filtering. You've probably got power now, so I'll finish this video off right now. So this has really just been thought time with Multiplier about what I like about the studio, what's working, and what I'm just thinking about for the future, which of course I will keep you all up to date with. And as I say, if you have any ideas for things, remember, creative and interesting, that I can put in the studio, do let me know in the comments, and also email if you want to. I have been Multiplier. This has been a look at, well, you've seen the video now, so you know what the video has been about. Thoughts, feelings, emotions, thinking out loud about the studio, what's working, what hasn't been working, basically everything's been working, and thoughts about the future, what I'm thinking about, what might make sense to research for new things for this studio, which I really like. I will catch you guys on the flippity flip.